this is John Montgomery, Corporate Vice President for Azure AI, and today I'm excited to introduce Hugging Face as a new partner doing cutting-edge AI on Azure. Hugging Face is on a mission to democratize good machine learning. With their Transformers open source library and the Hugging Face Hub, they are enabling the global AI community to build state-of-the-art machine learning models and applications in an open and collaborative way. Every day, over 100,000 people all over the world download more than 1 million models and datasets to solve real business problems with AI. At Microsoft, we are committed to sharing our latest AI innovations with the community and investing and contributing to open source. In fact, Microsoft has contributed over 150 state-of-the-art machine learning models on Hugging Face to do amazing things, like automatically analyze PDF documents, or detect objects and images, or to power semantic search experiences, or even to transcribe speech automatically. I am excited we're bringing together the best of Hugging Face and the Azure platform to offer our customers new integrated experiences that build on the secure, compliant, and responsible AI foundation we have in Azure ML, our MLOps platform. To tell you all about it, I'm pleased to welcome Clement DeLong, co-founder and CEO of Hugging Face. Clem, take it away.
Thank you so much, and thanks for inviting us to share the great stage of Microsoft Build. I'm really excited to announce this new strategic partnership and to introduce new experiences for our customers on Azure starting today. At Hugging Face, we've been collaborating with Microsoft for a while now, from open source contributions to the Transformers library, like DeepSpeed and Onyx Runtime, to amazing machine learning models shared by Microsoft research teams with the Hugging Face community. Over the last 3 years, machine learning has become almost like the default way of building technology. And it's been amazing for us to be at the center of this ecosystem, making the latest research and innovation easily and responsibly accessible to data scientists and machine learning engineers all over the world. We started with natural language processing, so text, and now includes audio, computer vision, time series, reinforcement learning, and even biology, chemistry, and more. Today, over 10,000 organizations use the Hugging Face machine learning platform to build with the more than 50,000 models and 5,000 datasets, all public, open, easily, and responsibly usable by the whole community. Some of them you might have heard of, like BERT, GPT, T5, DALI. Some coming directly from Microsoft research, like DeBerta, Layout, LM, CodeBERT, and more. And now we're making it super easy for Azure customers, turning any Hugging Face model into an end-to-end production system that scales and does that in minutes and without a single line of code. That experience is our new Hugging Face Endpoints service on Azure. Jeff and Philippe from our team will demo it to you shortly. I think this new service will have a huge impact, enabling companies of all sizes all over the world to easily take advantage of all the great machine learning models Hugging Face offers. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jeff Boudy. I'm on the product team at Hugging Face, and I'm super excited to tell you all about our partnership with Microsoft as we make our platform, our models, our solutions accessible and easy to work with on Azure. And today, it's my privilege to unveil to you our first solution to do amazing machine learning work with Hugging Face on Azure. We think it's going to have a huge impact. Introducing Hugging Face Endpoints on Azure. Hugging Face Endpoints on Azure is a new service available today in preview in the Azure Marketplace to easily create production-ready inference endpoints for any of our transformer models in your own Azure environment. And why do we think that's such a big deal? Well, talking to hundreds of users and customers who've been successful in creating state-of-the-art models with their own data, leveraging Hugging Face Transformers open source, what we've heard time and again is that turning those models into production solutions remains actually quite a headache. And all of a sudden, you have to work with other teams in order to create containers, manage dependencies, make sure that everything is compliant per your regulations, and deal with a whole bunch of infrastructure questions around memory, instance type, GPU utilization that make this work super hard. And we think that's one of the main questions that most machine learning projects today never make it into production. And with Hugging Face endpoints on Azure, we want to solve this. If you want to do it yourself and try to solve this problem, well, it's quite a headache. And with Hugging Face endpoints on Azure, we're making it super easy. And how easy exactly? Well, you can sum it up in 2 steps. The first one is to select a model from the Hugging Face Hub. And we have over 50,000 free and available models, pre-trained, fine-tuned, in any NLP speech vision task. And then plug that into the Azure application, Hugging Face endpoints, to create super easily, in a few clicks, in a few minutes, a production-ready inference endpoint. So the first step is to head over to the Hugging Face Hub. And if you're not aware, the Hugging Face Hub is an amazing resource to do any kind of state-of-the-art machine learning work, whether you're working on text problems, natural language processing, whether you're working on audio or you're working on vision, computer vision problems. We have a model for that, or our community has a model for that. The community has contributed tens of thousands of pre-trained and fine-tuned models, has contributed over 5,000 data sets to solve any kind of machine learning problems. Whichever language your customers are talking, you will find a fine-tuned or pre-trained model checkpoint for your business problem, whether you're trying to classify text, detect sentiments, translate, summarize, detect objects in images, or transcribe audio into text. We have models for that. And not just from the Transformers library. The Hugging Face Hub supports over 25 different libraries for you to host your model checkpoints in. So yeah, first step, select a model from the Hugging Face Hub. Second step, head over to the managed application in your Azure environment and select the model, select the task that you want to run, and select the instance that you're going to be deploying it on. And there you go. You have within 10 to 20 minutes a production-ready endpoint that's available to you with security built in. The Hugging Face endpoint solution is backed by Azure Machine Learning, so you're benefiting from all the security and compliance that's been built into the solution. You have scalability built in and automatically as demand for your predictions goes up and down. And you have monitoring that is built in the solution. So you can see the utilization, the scaling, and all the metrics that you expect. And of course, you can do this directly within the Azure portal, but you can as well create and manage your endpoints programmatically using your terminal, using the SDK, so that you always have a production environment that dynamically adapts to your demand, dynamically adapts to the latest versions of your models. So to sum it up, how you're going to benefit from Hugging Face endpoints on Azure. So you have a solution that's accessible to you. You can search for it on Azure. It's available on the Azure Marketplace, and you can deploy those endpoints in any of the regions that you're working from. It's a very simple solution. In a few clicks, in a couple minutes, you're up and running with a production-ready endpoint. All you have to do is select the model, select the task, select the instance to deploy it on. It's scalable out of the box. It will scale up and down along with demand. It's got security built in, so all the requests are authenticated. Everything is backed by Azure Machine Learning, which also make the solution fully reliable. And we also integrated with this exciting new feature, Azure Private Link, that ensures that as you make predictions on your endpoints, the data that comes in and out never leaves on the public internet. So with Azure Private Link, you have a direct connection between your endpoints and your VNet. What can you use today? What's available in the solution today? Well, first, it's available to you. You can use it. It's currently in preview in the Azure Marketplace. With this first solution, you're able to deploy any of transformer models with a PyTorch checkpoint. You're able to select any of the natural language processing tasks that we've implemented in the transformer pipelines. We have enabled CPU and GPU support for your endpoints. We have enabled auto scaling that works out of the box. And we have enabled Azure Private Link. And of course, this is just the beginning. We're very excited to soon bring support to speech processing and computer vision tasks so that you can solve your audio machine learning problems. You can solve your computer vision machine learning problems using Hugging Face endpoints on Azure. We're also working on adding support for sentence transformers, as we know that information retrieval and semantic search are huge business cases for our customers. And then we're also excited to work on enabling custom post-processing so you can build upon the pipelines implemented in transformers to adapt to your specific use case. So stay tuned for more updates on Hugging Face endpoints on Azure. Today, I'm super excited to introduce this new solution to you, and I hope that you will make great use of it. And to show you better how it works and to tell you more about how you can apply it on your business, I'm excited to have Philip lead a demo of the solution to you. And after that, I hope you will enjoy my conversation with Mabu, who's been leading the AI work at Standard Bank. So yeah, stay tuned for a great conversation with Standard Bank and how they're using Hugging Face endpoints on Azure. Thank you so much. And yeah, please check it out.
Hello, my name is Philipp Schmid and I am technical lead at Hugging Face. I'm excited to be able to show you and demo you the new Azure Hugging Face endpoints. Okay, let's get started. In the demo, we are going to create a new Azure Hugging Face endpoint for text classification. Hugging Face endpoints are a managed Azure application powered by Azure Machine Learning. We are currently in the UI where we can create our endpoint. First, we need to select our subscription, then our resource group. Next, we are going to select our region. In this case, we are going to use East US and define an endpoint name. Let's go with distal bird. As next, we are going to select our model from the Hugging Face hub. For this, we can go to filter, text classification, and then select one of the available models. We are going to use the distal bird model, which also fits our endpoint name. Copy the model ID and paste it into our model ID input field. Then we are going to select our text classification cast. Okay, as next we are going to define an application name. Let's go with text distal. And then we need to provide a managed resource group name. You can go with Hugging Face distal. Our application managed resource group holds all resources that are required to create our Hugging Face endpoint. After we have done that, we can select our compute. In this case, we are going to use a CPU instance, but you can also go with a GPU instance. The nice part about Hugging Face endpoints is that they deliver autoscaling out of the box, meaning we can select our min instance count and our max instance count. We are going to do this for max with 2. So we are going to be able to scale from 1 to 2 instances. And then we need to provide our threshold. We are going to use requests per minute as our threshold target, and we are going to select 1000. This means that our endpoint will receive requests, and if we have an average over 1,000 requests over a period for 5 minutes, the endpoint will automatically scale out. And if the load decreases, the endpoint will also automatically scale in again. Okay, now let's review and create. All our validation has passed. We can scroll down and then see again our provided values. We have our model ID with distal bird, our task text classification, and the resource name we have provided. We can also see our instance type and the auto-scaling configuration. Okay, let's create. Our endpoint will now be created. This will take a few minutes. I will be back when the endpoint or the deployment is complete. Our deployment is complete and we can test our endpoint. Therefore, we go to the resource, to outputs, where we can see our inference URI, our API authentication token, and the playground URL we can use to test our endpoint. Here we have a widget where we can immediately use to run inference and code snippet. Let's test it. The new Hugging Face endpoints are easy to use. And we can see our model predicted the correct sentiment for it. We can also copy the Python snippet and execute it, for example, in a Jupyter notebook. Here, you can also see that our model has predicted our label correctly. I'm Philip, and this was a quick look at the new Azure Hugging Face endpoints. Thank you.
Hey, Mabu, thank you so much for joining me. When we built a first version of Hugging Face endpoints on Azure, we immediately thought of Standard Bank and the amazing work that you guys do with Hugging Face. So thank you again for joining me and talk about your experience. Do you want to tell us a little bit about you and the work you do at Standard Bank?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for the invite and the opportunity to sort of talk about some of the stuff we do with Hugging Face. So I am a lead AI engineer here in Standard Bank Group. Standard Bank is a large financial institution, one of the biggest lenders on the African continent. So we're quite old also. So we've got relatively quite a lot of data that, with the advent of machine learning and AI, we're sort of beginning to find very useful use cases that we can sort of go into and really exploit the powers of machine learning and the likes. So we are very large users of Hugging Face because, as a large financial institution, we've got like all kinds of data. And some of that data is really just large corpus of text. And we need to find ways to sort of say, how can we find some insights in it? Because there's a lot of rich information that's sitting in there. So we need to find ways to analyze that data and then, use machine learning techniques to sort of get meaning out of it. And also, obviously, because Hugging Face now, it's, Transformers is beyond just text supporting. It supports like images, semantic segmentation, and that kind of thing. So it's really been a very helpful tool for us. And then we come a very long way. I like to joke with my colleagues that we know Hugging Face before you guys became a unicorn. So it's also quite great to see you guys growing big and then allowing us to really democratizing this thing of making machine learning and deep learning very useful in enterprises.
Wow, that's amazing! Thank you so much. And so I guess the theme that we're really solving here is the one of production, right? How do you take those large transformer models and make them run in a way that scales, in a way that's compliant with your business practices? I'm curious, like, what are some challenges that or pain points that you've experienced in that process?
So it's been. I'm really excited about this new product because I think it takes away a lot of our pain in the sense that everybody knows, it's not easy to take a 300 million parameter model into a production instance and try to make it highly available and reduce the latency and that kind of thing. So historically, we are also a very big consumer of Azure. We do other cloud partners we have, but especially for the risk team where we process a lot of text and use Hugging Face transformers a lot, is we deploy largely in Azure. So for example, historically we would be taking the Azure Kubernetes services approach for deployments or the container instance approach for deployments. It came with its own challenges, although it can sort of, you define your compute target once, and then it's like, if you're going to use a GPU, you're going to use that, and then you deploy that. It can downscale, it can upscale when you want it to, but it can handle a 300 million parameter model, for example, in production. But it's been largely challenging in the context of, what happens when we don't have a lot of activity. We want to reduce the cost. What happens when we have a lot of activity? We want to increase the compute, but it's not flexible in that way. And then also, like for smaller models, we would just traditionally use like things like Azure functions, where it's like, okay, it's still a transformer model, but it's small enough to fit in a small instance of an Azure function, and then there's no flexibility, obviously. So, for example, Azure functions don't give you GPUs, and then now you have problems where you have to, fight with quantization just so that the model can be inference friendly and the latency can go away. So it's been largely challenging, but that has been our stack. Well, if a model is small enough, we go with Azure functions. If it's too large, then we go with AKS or ACI, and then we have an inference endpoint, and then we can integrate it into our applications and that kind of thing, and really make these deep learning models operational. But of course, everything that I mentioned here, Azure functions, AKS, it comes with a huge challenges about what happens when the model is in production. How do you integrate it on your MLOps processes and that kind of thing? And deploying a large neural network with a DevOps, Azure DevOps, is like, it doesn't come easy. There's a few engineering challenges that you need to sort of sort out. So that has been our pain for the longest time, and then hopefully with what we're going to talk about today, we can really sort of zero out those problems.
Well, thank you so much. And yeah, I think, Mabu, you and your team were one of the very first in the world to get a sneak peek at Hugging Face endpoints on Azure and the experience of doing that. So yeah, what did you think?
It's quite ahead of the industry. I think you can't think about a lot of competition of this kind of product where the Azure endpoints, you guys have been able to think about some of the most pressing issues, especially in the context of deployment, and also security, for example. I think what I really love about it is that instead of that painful process of trying to set up and trying to go into a deployment of a large model with 500 million parameters or that kind of thing with AKS, or set up DevOps pipelines to sort of spin up Azure functions and think about warm-up functions, do this. So all of those things are sort of out of the picture, and all you get really is a quick 15 minutes of clicking here and there in the portal. Or if you want, using the Azure Machine Learning SDK, you can write code to just spin up those resources. And then now you have access to compute that you like. You can get GPU on your instance. And what I really like about it is that, which is very common, that when people use the Hugging Face models, the transformers, usually we use them out of the box. You really do a lot of customization. So for example, one of our use cases is question answering. And then with question answering, it's like if you got a squat model from the Hugging Face model hub, and that's all you need really. You don't need to fine tune. You don't need to do many other things. So because of that, the Azure endpoints allows you to just really choose the task, like whatever task you would find in the Hugging Face portal, and then specify what kind of classification problem is it, what kind of text problem is it. So if you're doing like the squad stuff for question answering, you then end up just saying, this is the model that I want to use, and this is the task that I'm solving. And then there you go, you deploy. You don't worry about the compute, you don't worry about the infrastructure. Also, I like the fact that you can specify to say that, when I'm getting to handle this amount of requests, then you can upscale and then increase my instances and that kind of thing, so that the latency is still managed. So, for the first time, then we have the ability to deploy these large neural networks in Azure and not worry about how am I going to upscale, and also not worry about, when my users are not using they are not hitting the endpoint, how am I going to downscale? Because all of those things can happen automatically. And I think this brings a huge opportunity for experimentation, and also for scaling and deployment, and really start having this mostly unused and undeployable, if you like, models in production. Because with this kind of services, it becomes super easy for your machine learning engineers to iterate very quickly and be able to put the models out there making operational decisions.
That's amazing. And, as you know, you've been a member of the Hugging Face community for quite some time. So you know that we have users that span in all industries, from the financial services industries, the healthcare industry, AI startups, researchers, labs. Who do you think is going to benefit most from this new product, Hugging Face Endpoints on Azure?
Oh, obviously, I think for me as a practitioner, obviously as a machine learning person who writes the code to try to deploy this thing, I'm the first beneficiary. I'm happy about that. But I think this is quite going to have a huge impact in terms of, especially also organizations that are not necessarily don't have the technical skill, and also maybe don't even have the money to afford the technical skills. So for the first time, if you just have a resource group in Azure, then you can have access to this kind of thing. And then if you have an engineer who is familiar with how Hugging Face work and what are the tasks that you can do out there. I mean, there's a wealth of documentation on Hugging Face about how to use the library and what it can do. So you can just exactly do that. So that means that from a costing perspective as an organization, that is an advantage, a huge one. But also now from a solving business problems perspective, because I think one of the bottlenecks with machine learning and deep learning in particular has been that most people say, yeah, no, they work on the notebooks, but now I can't really take the notebook into production. But now for the first time, you'll be able to do exactly that, right? If you've been using your some kind of Hugging Face task somewhere to solve a problem. I mean, I think it supports almost all of them. I know that some of them will still come in the future, like maybe zero-shot MNLI is also going to be supported. So you will be able to probably solve any NLP problem you want to solve. And also, because Hugging Face is beyond NLP, I mean, there's reinforcement learning, there is computer vision, there is all sorts of things. So you'll be able to just say, this is the task I want to solve, and then do this. So that allows organization to rapidly iterate over problems that they want to solve, and then also allows the machine learning engineers to stop worrying about compute and infrastructure and really try to test the ideas. So I think organizations in general are going to benefit a lot from this. But yeah, I think machine learning engineers themselves will look like superstars, who can really just get a model in production in 15 minutes, which is quite nice.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Mabu, and thanks for being a member of our community. It was really great to share your experience and how you use Hugging Face. Again, thank you so much, and see you at Microsoft Build.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. And yeah, you guys should continue doing the great work that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Well, I hope you enjoyed as much as I did my conversation with Mabu at Standard Bank. One of the magical things about open source is there are companies large and small in every part of the world that are building amazing things with your software. But you wouldn't know anything about it if you're not talking to them. So it was super inspiring for me to discover all the amazing machine learning work that the Standard Bank AI team has been doing with Hugging Face. And I hope it was inspiring for you too. Well, in this final part of the session, I want to go back to the Hugging Face and Microsoft partnership we are announcing today, as we work together to bring our solutions, our machine learning platform, our models accessible and make them easy to work with on Azure. And earlier, I told you about Hugging Face Endpoints on Azure, our first solution to be made available on the Azure Marketplace. But now I want to tease you a little bit about the next great Hugging Face solutions we are working hard to bring to Azure. And the first one is the Hugging Face Private Model Hub. Earlier, I told you about the Hugging Face Hub, this amazing resource to find access to work with over 50,000 public and free machine learning models that have been contributed by our amazing community to solve any kind of machine learning problem, whether it's natural language processing or speech recognition or computer vision, whichever domain you're working on or language you're working in. On the Hugging Face Hub, there is a model for that. So what is the Private Model Hub? Well, the Private Model Hub is basically the same set of tools that our users, data scientists and machine learning engineers all over the world are using every day to build machine learning, but with a private and dedicated environment for teams to collaborate within an organization. And it's the best way to accelerate machine learning from project to solution, from training to deployment, from research to production through these amazing tools. And what teams can do collaboratively with the private model hub, they can manage their models and datasets. They can create new models with our AutoTrain feature. They can serve predictions and evaluate their models with the inference API built into the hub. And they can build great machine learning demos using Hugging Face spaces. So let's dive in on each of those a little bit. So first thing, models and datasets management. A common problem within large AI organizations is that there are many data scientists across organizations building incredible machine learning models, but it's difficult for the organization as a whole to know exactly what models are available to them, what they do, which version of the model we're going to be using. And so with the private model hub, teams benefit from full version control built in. So you know that for every change of the model repository, you have full history. And organizations benefit from a fine-grained access control so that every model and dataset can be accessed by the right teams, by the right people within teams, and have the right set of permissions in accordance to your organizational rules. So the next thing that teams are able to do with the private model hub is to create new models using our AutoTrain product. And what the AutoTrain product does is offers you a no-code solution to leverage transfer learning and turn your own data into state-of-the-art machine learning models. And the way to do that is to just upload a training data set a few parameters, and AutoTrain will create many candidate models using the best possible architectures, the best possible hyperparameters, and train those models, deploy those models, evaluate those models for you. Another thing you can do with AutoTrain is start from an existing model, whether a public model on the hub or your own model hosted on your private model hub, and then fine-tune them further using AutoTrain. I talked about the inference API. It's an amazing way to show what models can do and test them on real case predictions. Every model that is uploaded on your private model hub and that is assigned a particular task or transformer pipeline will be automatically deployed so that you can test them, evaluate them, serve predictions right from the page or using HTTP endpoints. And last, I want to talk to you about Hugging Face Spaces. So it's an amazing way to create and deploy machine learning applications that show the power of your models by just supplying a few lines of Python code using the great Streamlit or Gradio open source libraries. So that was the Hugging Face Private Model Hub coming soon on Azure. And the next thing I want to talk to you about is our Expert Acceleration Program. Talking with hundreds of users of customers using transformers every day, something that came out very clearly is that's one of the most immediate ways through which we can have impact and accelerate their machine learning projects is by providing them with direct guidance from our experts. And that's exactly what the Expert Acceleration Program is all about. Is to provide AI teams with access to a dedicated machine learning engineer on the Hugging Face team that can help answer their questions as they come and help them benefit from the expertise of the whole Hugging Face team. Questions like, I'm trying to fine-tune this model. What's the right architecture to start from? Is my data set structured properly? Do I have enough data points? Now I want to deploy that model. What kind of instance should I use? How do I accelerate the latency for these models? All those questions throughout the life cycle of your machine learning development, we can really accelerate through the Expert Acceleration Program. All right, so I told you about the next great Hugging Face solutions that we are working hard to make available to Azure customers. And I want to talk to you also about the amazing work that our open source team has been doing in collaboration with the Microsoft teams working on the great open source libraries that today push the limits of what's possible to do with machine learning. And libraries like Deep Speed, like Onyx Runtime, are really pushing the limits of what can be done. And so it's really great to be able to collaborate together so that the best of the Hugging Face open source and the best of Microsoft open source can be integrated together to offer solutions to our users. And a great example of that is in the recent release of the Optimum open source library, which is a Hugging Face toolkit to accelerate and optimize transformers models. Recently, with the integration of training capabilities from Onyx Runtime. So feel free to check that out on our GitHub, the Optimum library. All right. So I told you about our new service, Hugging Face Endpoints on Azure, which you can use today in preview on the Azure Marketplace to turn any model into a complete production-ready inference solution. I told you about the next set of Hugging Face solutions that we're working hard to bring to Azure customers. And I told you about the great collaboration we are excited to continue to have with the Microsoft teams to make our open source, respective open source, work better together. I hope that was I hope that was interesting for you and you found it useful. And to close, I want to wish you an amazing Microsoft build. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our team. You can contact me at jeff@huggingface.co. So yes, have a great build and bye everyone.